Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. If you're coming here looking for aggressive dance tracks or thumping bass lines, you might actually want to pause right here. Because today, we're setting a rainy Sunday, coffee in hand, looking out the window kind of mood. We are taking a deep dive into an often forgotten musical diary entry, Music and Me, Michael Jackson's quiet masterpiece of adolescence from 1973.
To really grasp what this record is all about, just picture this for a second. A 14-year-old Michael Jackson casually sitting on a wooden fence. He's wearing this simple, earthy, button-down shirt. His afro is perfectly rounded, and right beside him, a lonely, straw-stuffed scarecrow set against a wide, open sky and a golden field. It is, without a doubt, the most peaceful, unassuming visual of his entire career.
And you know, that peaceful imagery brings us directly to the core thesis of our explainer today. Because when you sit down with this 43-minute record, you are hearing something profoundly rare. As this quote perfectly captures, it's the sound of a superstar losing his childhood in real time. Just think about that. This isn't just an album, it's literally a live microphone placed right in front of a boy trying to figure out exactly who he's becoming. Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is just how hard it is to reconcile. In our minds, the image burned into global consciousness is the 1980s gloved megastar, right? The sequined gloves, the military jackets, the aggressive dance poses. But then, you have this 1973 kid sitting by a scarecrow radiating this quiet vulnerability. There's no zombie dancer here, no smooth criminal, just a teenager with a microphone.
So why do we rarely hear about this record? Well, let's trace the timeline. In 1972, Michael had a monster hit with Ben, and then jump ahead to 1979 and you hit the absolute history-making disco explosion of Off the Wall. Right there, smack in the middle, sits 1973's Music and Me. It is completely wedged between these two monumental history-making eras. It's basically the forgotten middle child of his Motown years, easily getting lost in the shuffle of his massive legacy.
And at the time, the Motown machine was just grinding on. Berry Gordy and the Brass had a formula: give a cute kid grown-up songs. But they were fighting a biological clock called puberty. You literally can't fight biology. Michael's perfect razor-sharp treble was starting to thicken up. This breathy, gravelly huskiness was creeping in. And to their credit, producers like Hal Davis and Berry Gordy didn't fight it. Instead, they leaned right in, pivoting Michael into this gentle, soft rock, adult contemporary sound.
Section 1. Side A. The Heart of a Child.
Side A kicks off with a Stevie Wonder cover, With the Child's Heart. And man, just listen to the lyrics. Michael sings, "With the child's heart, go face the worries of the day." The irony here is just, it's painful. You have a kid singing about maintaining a child's innocence, delivered by someone who basically hasn't been allowed to just be a child for a very long time. The whole arrangement is so lush and lullaby-like, and it sets this deeply reflective tone for the entire album.
This side brilliantly illustrates his growing versatility, too. You've got Up Again, which is this innocent, sunshiny pop tune where he sounds exactly like a teenager dreaming of a crush. Then, you pivot to You Can Cry on My Shoulder, bringing in these surprising acoustic, folky influences. His delivery is so earnest, you genuinely believe this 14-year-old understands deep loneliness. And then, bam, we get My Baby, bringing some much-needed R&B swagger and a really welcome burst of energy, completely aided by backing vocals from none other than The Temptations. But the absolute centerpiece of the whole thing is the title track, Music and Me. The lyrics go, "We've been together for so long, you're the sweetest friend I've ever known." He's talking about music. For a kid whose only constant companion was his career, this is deeply, deeply meta. It's absolutely crucial to realize this isn't just a vocal performance. It is a raw, honest confession to the one thing that has always been there for him.
Actually, here's a quick note for all the audiophiles out there. If you decide to go listen to this title track, listen very, very closely when he sings the word heart. You can actually hear his voice dipping and literally cracking slightly. It wasn't a mistake that they just forgot to edit out. It perfectly represents the raw struggle of the future king of pop physically wrestling with his changing vocal cords.
Section 2. Side B. Covers and Grit. So, Side B gives us some fascinating contrasts. First up, he covers Nat King Cole's 1951 classic, Too Young. Again, the irony is palpable here, an international superstar singing about being told he isn't old enough to truly love. But then, compare that to Happy, which was originally by Barbra Streisand. Guys, this is the secret weapon of the album. Michael's jazz phrasing here, the way he holds notes and just kind of flirts with the melody, shows a level of emotional maturity that is frankly shocking for a 14-year-old. And just when you think you have this soft rock album all figured out, Michael drops a total wild card with Doggin' Around. I mean, it is a 1920s and 1930s style vaudeville blues track. You've got blaring horns, ragtime piano, and Michael puts on this campy, jazzy gambler voice. It is silly, it's completely out of place, but it proves something essential. Michael just loved music in all its forms, not just the radio-friendly soul stuff.
The original album closes out with Johnny Raven, which is this bluesy, gospel-tinged soul finale with a heavy beat and some really deep brass. Michael really wails on this track. He just lets the grit in his throat work overtime. It's a super powerful reminder that right beneath all those soft acoustic guitars and gentle ballads, the raw fire of a soul singer was right there, just waiting to burst out.
Section 3. The Legacy. The Storm Before the Calm. To really understand this album's legacy, we have to look at the stark commercial reality of the time. If you look at the Billboard 200 peak positions, his previous solo album, Ben, hit number 5. Music and Me, it peaked at number 92. Number 5 down to 92. That is a massive drop. Motown was looking at their cash cow, seeing a shrinking profit margin, and they quickly pivoted Michael right back to group projects.
But you know, commercial success isn't everything. When you listen to Music and Me, you are not listening to a commercial product. You're listening to a vulnerable, unpolished diary entry. No, it doesn't have the legendary 80s bangers, and yeah, it might even be a little boring at times to a casual pop fan. But it is perhaps his most honest piece of work. It captures the fragile soul of a teenager who had the weight of the entire world on his shoulders, just trying to find his adult voice.
So, here's what I want you to take away from this explainer today. Forget everything you know about the 80s icon for a second. Grab some headphones and seek out this pastoral, quiet detour. And that leaves us with a question for you. Have you ever given this deep cut album a listen? And what is your favorite track from Michael's early Motown years? Think about it and keep exploring the music. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.